Welcome to the Thriving Farmer Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Kilpatrick. Our mission is to inspire, educate, and celebrate sustainable farming. We believe that you can build a profitable, sustainable farm that gives you true farm freedom. Join us as we talk to farmers, innovators, educators, and entrepreneurs to glean their top takeaways in business and life. This episode is sponsored by Rimmel Greenhouse Systems, makers of quality greenhouse structures. Whether you're just getting started or buying your 10th tunnel, Rimmel has a structure to fit your needs. I've purchased and grown in Rimmel houses and would recommend them to everyone. Thanks to Harvest Host for sponsoring this episode of the podcast. Harvest Host provides a cost-free opportunity for small businesses and farms to increase revenue simply by inviting their self-contained RV members to stay one night on their property. In return, members patronize or donate to the business. Well-established Harvest Hosts are reporting an average of $15,000 in additional annual revenue. Hey, Thriving Farmers, Michael Kilpatrick here with yet another episode of the Thriving Farmer Podcast. And today my guest is Natasha McCrary, and she farms at 1818 Farms, and they are located in Mooresville, Alabama, which is the population of 58 folks. 1818 was named for the year Mooresville was incorporated, 1 year before Alabama became a state. The happy animal residents on the farm include Babydoll Southdown Sheep, a Nubian goat, cats, hens, mini pigs, and Great Pyrenees guard dogs. In adjacent field, over 14,000 flowers show off their best colors and blooms, having been lovingly and carefully tended to. The farm hosts events. It has a line of bath and body products that have grown from their commitment to the farm and needs for simple products that really work. And they have a Seed to Vase initiative, which strengthens the educational component of their mission as they share information on ways to identify, grow, harvest, and arrange seasonally grown flowers. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Michael, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. Share a little bit about how the farm got started. I mean, it sounds like you kind of started it as something to teach your kids.
It did. And this is our 10th year, which is hard for me to believe. And in some ways, it feels like it hasn't been 10. And in other ways, it feels like it's been 20 years. Is what I told my husband last night. We were talking about it. But it's and my son and we were on a family trip, and he fell in love with the Southdown Babydoll Sheep. And I was at a point in my life where I had a career before corporate America, and then I stayed at home with my kids, and it was time to go back to work. And he fell in love with this sheep, and all he could talk about was owning a sheep. And he wanted to rent his sheep to nativity scenes. He wanted to sell the manure. He wanted to sell the wool, and he's always been an entrepreneur. I mean, even as a small child, I tell people he was the one who would sell his toys to his siblings. So that's kind of what got me thinking. We had some acreage that wasn't being used, and I thought this would be a great way. As anyone who knows, it's tending to animals is a great way to teach your children responsibility. And so I thought this would just be a great family project. And we started out really going to focus more on agritourism and having the animals and education, and do story times for children, and teach how to build raised beds and how to raise backyard chickens. And it just sort of snowballed from there. And it's we started growing produce for restaurants, and then we were doing farmers markets, and then I started the bath line. And it just has it's kind of like you go one step forward and then you say, hey, I think I could do this. So it's just really grown over the year, but it's been a great teaching experience for our children. We have one who now is 23, almost 23, one who's almost 19, and one who's 16. And I think what I really appreciate about this is they have seen a lot. They know what it is to work hard. They know how dedicated you have to be if you farm, if you have your own business. So I think I'm the most proud of what they have learned from this experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And tell me, how are the kids involved in the farm?
Well, my oldest now is in missile defense work, so he is not working. I mean, he's out of college, but they still all help when we have farm events. All hands are on deck. My middle child, he does a lot with. We now do. We flipped in 2018 to all flowers because we did produce before. We switched then. And so he's really big on routing and doing a lot of the customer service and delivering flowers. Like, I was really sad because he just went to college. So I'm like, how are we going to make it with our bouquets this year? And then my youngest, she does a lot too with any kind of farm day, or if we need help harvesting, like, harvesting is a big thing here, especially when we're doing workshops in the summer and just events too. And then now that she's 16, she'll be taking over flower delivery routes because, where we are located, I know you say 58 people, but we're located just on the outskirts of Huntsville, Alabama, Madison, Alabama, Decatur, Athens, Hartselle. So there's lots of cities around us, and those all fall in our delivery areas. So, you may be delivering up to, 40 minutes away, but you route everything together. So that was important with our middle child, really working out a routing system for us, because it makes most sense when you're trying to be efficient with your time. So, yes. So, and then we have had our middle child also did some work when we were converting our website, pulling over blogs and, just lots of different things. I think they've seen a lot, just a lot of different things, more so, building boxes in our warehouse. We know Christmas is coming and we're going to be shipping a lot of products. So, even if they're doing simple things like delivering to FedEx or taking things, to stores. So they do a lot of just a little bit of everything.
And have they developed their own little niche in the business of what they enjoy, or do you try to get them to do a little bit of everything so they can get a well-rounded of what it takes to run a business?
I think we try to let them see a little bit of everything, especially, our oldest we know he's an engineer, he's seen things, he's been a huge help. He was delivering flowers and just any capacity we needed them in. But I think also for them to love it, you need to find things they're passionate about. And I think that's with anyone, like there are a lot of people, like I thrive on the manual labor and the planning and the next season, that's not for everybody. Seeing the seed grow, that's not for everyone. But let's say with my daughter, she's very artistic. So we do a lot of pressed flower art. So she's great at that. So you're trying to really tap into, to make someone happy, they need to be doing something they love. So, we let them see a little bit of everything. And of course, any of them can deliver flowers. That's not that's such a huge part for us, but it's also, we're trying to find, perhaps they're seeing the financial side, and my middle son is a finance major. So, we're trying to really talk to him about cash flow and how you plan, the seasons ahead. So there's a lot of different ways that you can, our business is so diversified that there's a lot of things that you can teach them.
Because you have, well, then let's go back to, let's talk about those different enterprises, because you have like several distinct enterprises on the farm.
Yes. So probably what a lot of people, if you said, hey, let's talk about 1818 Farms, they're going to say they have the cutest sheep I've ever seen. I mean, they're going to say that. So we breed the sheep. Then we have, cut flowers, and we do cut flowers, we press, we do also natural textile dyeing. So that's a big thing. And then you would have a whole nother segment of the population who they use our bath and body products that we manufacture ourselves. So, we're in around 500 stores for that. So that's another whole process. Like we have an offsite facility where we have employees there, yet we have employees at the farm. We may overlap each other when we get into Christmas because of just trying to, shipping holiday gifts and things like that. But, the two teams really don't overlap a lot, except for just a couple of months out of the year. And for me, that people say, well, why did you start the bath line? Well, I'll tell you what, when we first started in our climate here, we're in Northern Alabama, our first frost is typically around November 1st, something like that. My husband's a businessman. I had to feed the animals. So, the farmers markets were done. I was like, what am I going to do for the next 6 months? I didn't have a hoop house. I didn't have anything like that. So I started taking the dried flowers that I had from the season before and making soaps, and, then really learning how needs that I needed. I want simple ingredients that really worked. How can I make a cream that moisturizes but doesn't have a million ingredients that I can't even pronounce? So for me, it started out as a necessity to pay the electricity, feed the animals, and that's why I started the side business, but that's probably now, what allows me to do as much as I want to at the farm, because I do have that side business. We're having a product showcase coming up where we'll be really displaying our from the farm products. But a lot of that I allow to have that type of following because I have diversified and found another revenue stream.
Yes. So talk to me a little bit about some of these awesome names you have that are actually based on the farm animals.
Oh, yeah. So when people just love the animals. So when we started making the products, I said, oh, I need to make this, people love Farrah Fawcett. We have this goat named Farrah Fawcett who's so naughty. And I said, we're going to do a goat milk bath soak. So I tried to tie each animal, to a product. So, or a product to an animal, because every animal, poor things, they don't all have a product. But like you have Kane's lip care, he's one of our rams, and his little pencil sketch. My mother-in-law pencil sketches, little realistic versions of them. Or we have Sugar in her night hat, wearing on the counting sheep linen and room spray. So, it's just another way to really tie the farm to the products. And it's a way for someone who loves the farm. Maybe you live in Denver and you can't come to the farm, but you have this product and the farm brings you joy. You use the product, you say, hey, what's 1818 doing today? We're going to go see, we're harvesting loofahs, we're putting in a cover crop, we're birthing lambs. I mean, it's really just trying to put your brand at the forefront of everyone's mind.
So then obviously with with the animals and such, I'm assuming you're telling their stories on your social media, which is then causing people to go buy those products.
Well, hopefully so. It's interesting because I think it's interesting. I think a lot of it's a two-way street. I think a lot of people found the products in their stores. And then they say, this is so cute. Let me go look at their site. And they follow us along. Like if you went to my website or you went to Instagram right now, you're not going to see a lot of bath products up there, because really the reason people are following us is they want to know what's happening at the farm. So our strategy is a little bit different in that they love the product. They start to use the product. They continue to use the product, but really what we're telling is a story, and we're telling a day, I do a lot in the stories too, and what's happening at the farm. And I think a lot of that is, I know for me personally, I like following people who are telling a story, and I'm seeing the ins and outs of their life. Not necessarily do I want to see, they're selling, lip balm. I mean, we do put things in and out of there, but it's more like if there's a holiday we just have a little bit different marketing model, but it's worked. And, I think people are happy with it. I mean, you can tell if you look at analytics, if you post a product picture, are you going to get, how many likes and engagement are you going to get versus if I post a new lamb or I post the flowers, people are wanting they're hungry for experiences. I think, especially after the pandemic, when so many people were, some states were a lot more restricted. And, we had an open farm day in this past May. We used to open the farm, and until 2020, we were open for a free day, public day. We have a lot of free events and the sheep shearing. And so we had to cancel because it was like March, 2020. I mean, it was like literally the weekend that everyone said you can't have entertainment, whatnot. So we hadn't been open since 2020. So we were open. We had almost 4,000 people come to the farm that day. We had people from New York. We had people from Texas. We had people from Ohio. We had people from, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia. And a lot of them were people who found us during the pandemic, because they, they were looking for different types of businesses to follow. And that's how they found us. So I think that told me a lot there in the strategy that we use. And how we reach our customers. It's just a little bit different.
So with the Bath and Body, now, how do you develop those products? Are you just trying things at home, or are you working with somebody?
Yeah. Well, no, we develop everything ourselves, and we test, and we have a lot of testers for us. Like it takes to get a product out, it's going to take you a good 6 months to a year, probably on the year side, because you're going to, like let's say we did a shaving oil and a beard oil for men, I can't test that. I mean, I had to find people, and, I had to have a form. I had to have basically a form, a survey, And so you do a lot of development that way. And it's just over time, I've made so many products. It's kind of like if you're a good cook, you sort of figure out how to do things. I don't know if that makes sense. I mean, if you can cook, I mean, it's a lot of what the products are is, but it's also like we're trying to find every product that we make is probably selfishly, other than the beard and the shave oil, it was like a need, something that I needed. I had very terrible cuticles because I prefer not to wear gloves. And as a flower farmer, it's different than my husband's family. If they're a large crop farming, you're in, if you're in the combine, but if you're a flower farmer, nothing is mechanized. I mean, there's no telling how many clips I make in a year. And digging in the dirt, we were planting some things. I just don't like to wear gloves. So I, of course, wanted something. My cuticles and my nails were horrible. My back hurts. So you come out with a soaking, a bath soak, so you can, it was to help myself. So, and it just turns out, luckily, most of the things that I have needed, other people needed. So you don't want to rush anything to market, because I tell people, and this is really with anyone, if you're a farmer, if you're a business bringing a product, you get one first impression, and you want to have the best product out there, because they're not going to try it again if they don't care for it the first time. I mean, they're just not. That's like the biggest thing that I tell our employees is, someone wanted to know, why does the label have to be just like this? And I'm like, because we get one impression. It has to be, I'm OCD on labeling, on like the straightness of a label. You know what I'm saying? Like just little things like that, that the bouquets go out a certain way, that we have procedures in place. So you don't get many second chances in business. And I think anybody out there, that's what you have to ask yourself. This is our first impression. How are we going to make it the best it can be?
Let's talk, what is your best seller in that line?
It's definitely the shea cream. Our shea cream, it's just shea butter, coconut oil, and there's an unscented a lot of people like, and then there's some that have essential oils and a few of the fragrance, but that's definitely the workhorse of our line. So that's the thing that as soon as somebody runs out, they immediately reorder, because it's in their daily skincare routine. And it's very light. There's no water, there's no preservative. So it's 100%. The shea cream is our number one.
Yeah. Now with that line, because I'm assuming that line is different, a little bit of a different avatar than, let's say, someone coming out to do the flowers. So how have you crafted the aesthetic around that?
Well, it's interesting, because if you look at our avatar, if you look at our farm avatar, it's dead on. We know exactly. It's somebody between like 35 to 50. They're into gardening. They're outdoors. You have that avatar, and you have some overlap. But for us, the email list is the most important thing of how we reach people. Because I tell everyone, if you're depending on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, it's no different than if I am leasing the land. They could take that away in any second. It could go. We could wake up tomorrow and it's all gone. I mean, it's disappeared. You have to have an email list. I cannot stress to anyone who's doing any type of agritourism, anything, you need to be building an email list. I don't care what it takes. If you have to go find the 16-year-old who can help you build a website, you have to have an email list, because that's the way, like with this fall showcase we're having, a lot of people now aren't on social media, and we wouldn't know about the showcase. So, but they're going to know about it through the email. And, we have analytics to know who's opened the email, who hasn't opened the email. Do we need to resend the email? And they can easily ask. We do not send, I don't know about you, I have an email for my work and I have a personal email. I have like 500 emails a day, and they're pretty much junk. We send maybe 6 emails a year. I mean, if we send you an email, if we send you an email, there's an event, there's a sale, the lambs are here, we're not going to inundate you, because now, to me, I'm more likely to open snail mail than I am, because I'm just so many junk emails. I look and I'm like, I have 2,000 emails. So I tell people when they sign up for the email list, they'll go, usually our workshops sell out in maybe 24 hours. And they say, how do I get on there? I said, get on the email list. Well, what if I get a lot of emails? I'm like, if you get a lot of emails, I have been kidnapped, because I don't have time to send you an email every day. You're going to, and I think people appreciate that, because they know if we send you something, there's something important happening. We're doing something. So I think I had a company keeps asking me, we want you to send text messages. We want you to send text messages. I'm not sending text messages. I don't like when people get my text messages and send me text messages. I'm going to continue with building an audience who has a reason to follow us and knows that if they receive communication from me, it is important.
Yeah. They want to make sure they're opening that email as soon as they can.
Oh yeah, because the workshops are set and I can't add any more workshops because of the flower. We balance out subscriptions to pressing to dried because we make these botanical wax sachets with your prior number 2 seller. Well, the dried flowers have to go into those wax sachets. I know how many thousand of those we have to produce a year, so it has to go here. I know I need the dried bouquets for like these pop-ups. I know how much I need to have in press. I mean, there's only so many flowers I have that I can host so many workshops. So they sort of know, hey, and I only do like 16 people. I mean, 16 is the magic number for it to feel intimate and people to really learn. I don't want people, I know we have open farm days and a lot of people come and they walk around, but if you're coming to learn from me, I rarely will go over 20 people. And that's really like if somebody, I had someone who had to have a mastectomy and they were going to miss their spot. So I told them I'm going to move y'all together. I'll let everybody know. And everybody was fine with that. But if you are going to if you're going to invest your money with me, I'm going to invest my time with you because you're coming here for an experience and to learn something. And so I'm very much, when we do events, I don't want to feel like people feel like I'm just here to just get as many people in as I can. Those are for the days when it's free and anyone can come and they can walk and see the animals. And I was nervous when we had so many people who wanted to come in May, but everyone was so gracious because, I want everyone who, there are kids out there who've never seen a farm animal. I know it's hard for you to believe and it's hard for me to believe, but there are people who've never touched a baby lamb, who've never seen an egg in a coop. And I want there to be days where I can offer that for free. And I feel like if you're giving back something like that, you're going to receive tenfold.
All right. So you've got the online sales there, and your website, is that a WordPress based website?
Okay. I have to tell you, I have no idea because my husband knows.
Okay.
Here's what I tell the office when they ask me something. I go, that is not my department. I just know it's run through Shopify. That's all that I know. And it's everything there. So I have that's the one thing I do not know. I'm probably any other place.
So it is Shopify. All right. Then that makes sense. Yeah. Cause I'm looking through here and you got some great features. Like they can filter the price. They can, do by like how people think like it, like anyway. So yeah, really nice website. And I can see why it works really well for you guys. Talk to me a little bit about the on-farm events, because we talked a little bit about that here, the sizing you go for. You also try to have like a time when anyone can come onto the farm. First, what started the events?
Well, the first events I did 10 years ago was you would think, a lot of people feel like they could get to the moon before they could grow a vegetable. And I am not kidding you. Like they are scared. They don't know. I grew up, my dad was a botanist. My grandparents saved seeds. That was just a way of life, and I probably didn't appreciate it as much as I do now, but people are hungry for eating healthier. Prices, as you know, are sky high every time I go to the grocery store. I was trying to encourage someone, like one of the girls who works for me, for her birthday, I bought her like Brussels sprouts plants. Every fall vegetable that you could, because this doesn't get that cold here, you could plant here. I'm trying to encourage people, to grow your own food even in the winter here. But I just had people say, well, hey, can you teach me how to do this? And so I thought, this is something I know how to do. Let's just bring people. And really, that's a great, for me, the workshops I love. It's my favorite thing that I do. We used to do a lot of wreath making workshops, but now it's hard because it falls at holiday and we need all hands on deck. So we do more of the flowers, but it's a way to get people there. And it, like I was saying, feel intimate, and it's a great revenue stream in flower farming. And I'm sure, I've only vegetable and flower, but I have to pay sometimes, $3,000 or $4,000 for something I'm not going to get for 7 months, because you have to order so far in advance. And really, I kind of look at those bouquet subscriptions and the workshops is a way for me to pay for that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's counted it's counted revenue. And it's another thing I taught with my kids, on cash management. I know in my mind, and I've done this long enough. I know I feel badly when someone's new starting. I pretty much know what the expenses are going to be. I mean, in flower farming, you just know. I mean, it's going up right now. I'm kind of, in the last year, I've seen a lot of increases, but I know what it's going to be. So it's just a way for me to have people and have them make a great memory, but also it's a wonderful way for me to pay for the things the inputs I have to make the rest, the year run, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because typically what we're going to do, the bouquet subscriptions are going to go on sale Black Friday. I'm going to have that sold, done by Christmas. Then, I'm having to order then for the things I need for the summer. And then the workshops, that's about the time that I'm ordering, like, the tulips, the ranunculus, the anemones, those are not low dollar ticket items. So it's a great way for me to not, I don't like, if I can't pay for it, I don't like to buy it. I mean, that's just the way we are. But that's just a great way. And anyone out there, if you have some type of way to have workshops, and I know I tell people, everyone's like, I just can't do it. My farm is a mess. And I'm like, listen, what you see other people are not going to see, because we're looking at it with the most critical eye. Like, I don't like to have one weed anywhere. I mean, I'm OCD about that. But I said, a lot of people, they don't have flowers. They don't have a farm. They don't have farm animals. They're not going to see what you're seeing. And you just have to take a leap of faith and start. I always say, start small. Don't say I'm going to have 50 people. Maybe you start with 5 or 6 people and do something, small. But it is a great way just for you to pay for, like with the chicken, how to raise backyard chickens. I basically saved that money to pay for the chicken feed for the year. I mean, it was just a way for me to know there are some expenses that are going to be set. How am I going to cover those? Because really, they're coming, but you don't have the stream to hit it at that time. It's just how we have to buy so much ahead. I mean, I tell people, if you're not thinking 6 months to a year ahead in flower farming, you're not going to be successful. Because it's too late. Someone said, oh, I can't get the ranunculus I want. I'm like, those should have been ordered last February.
Yes.
You just can't not be ahead of the game.
How big is your flower production?
We're on about an acre, and everyone asks, wouldn't you want more land? I'm like, absolutely not, because I'd have to have more land, and I can do everything I need to do that I want to do. And of course, if I had a dream, I'd like to have an acre and have, all peonies, but, I don't have that. I don't have that, because that's a, easy, I call it a bookend crop. It's early in the spring, the hot summer, is the hardest, but that's, I need the summer because that's when I have people out. So it's the most beautiful for me. But the flower section is on about an acre, but we flip it, like we're constantly flipping. So like some sections may be planted 3 times. Like we just pulled everything, all of our spring is in except for the anemones, ranunculus are pre-sprouting in our cooler. The tulips have been back, they're still not here. They're supposed to have been here like 2 weeks ago. Those will go in December. And then the front's cover cropped. And then, we'll be flipped, several of those rows are going to be flipped depending on days to harvest. So when you say it's an acre, it's really a lot. I mean, if one plant of everything is 14 to 15,000, probably. It's probably more than that now because I have so many perennial beds I put in. You're constantly, it's not just a row crop where I just put a bunch of corn and then we just go harvest it. I mean, we're constantly, it's a totally different animal. When people come here and they start working with us, I have somebody who's done landscape for years and they're like, this is so different. I mean, but you have to be thinking ahead too. I already know what's going to go where. We're trying a new cover crop this year too, which I'm interested about. It's we have heavy clay here, and I've amended. There's one bed that it's never what I want. So we're doing the oil seed radishes this year. Try and really aerate it. We've never done that before. Typically it's Prince and Clover. It works for us. Yeah. And everywhere but the spot. And finally I was like, let's just try this. So my fingers are crossed and it works. I mean, it works. I mean, it's not like the section's a loss, but it could be a higher yield. I mean, I know when you compare what everything else what yield we can get, this should be a higher yield.
Yeah. So are you thinking the problem is compaction, or what specifically you're trying to use the oilseed radish for?
There's 2 things. Compaction is one, but between you and me and the listeners, I think there's a natural spring under here.
So it's just wet all the time.
Yes. I mean, there is
Yeah.
no way. And, I've heard, because where we live, our house is 1826. Where we live,
Yeah.
there's lots of places where I know when we brought our sheep in, we had to fill in a well at one section. And, this is like, I'm like, how could we have to literally the irrigation zip tie it from half the field to block it, or, pretty much because we'd already had the tarp down. So this year we're going to, of course, and it rained literally this summer, like 4 inches, and it's still soaking.
Yeah.
So to open the bigger can of worms, I think there's a natural spring under there, because our
Yeah.
fence line,
Well,
it could be, but it could be that I'd have a well, but then it would I have to balance out, let's try this as my last ditch. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if there's a natural spring under it.
So that's actually another opportunity for income, because now you just dig that one out and then you bottle all the water and sell the water too.
Hey, let me tell you, after we had to irrigate almost every day this summer, would be a blessing, other than the well, but it was such the drought here. Although I will say, my dad's a botanist. He came out maybe, doesn't live here, maybe 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago.
Okay.
He was like, my zinnias were literally over 6 feet tall. The veneria, gorgeous. Didn't have one bit of powdery mildew, nothing. I didn't have to do anything this whole season, That's beautiful they've ever been. Now, given I had to irrigate, but the flowers this year, the best we've ever had in 10 years. Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, rain really does hurt crops. And if you can, if you can have a dry season, but if you can irrigate, that's what my mentor always told me. He said, like, look, I put in irrigation so I can be very productive in the drought when no one else has crops, so I can sell a lot more. So, that always made sense to me. And so we won't open anything else up until we have the irrigation.
But you have to have the irrigation. You tell people that. Yes.
Our pH though is 7.4 on the water, and it has high calcium. So we are actually pushing our pH up every single time we irrigate. So we're actually having to look at trying to bring that down with basically injecting acid into our system. So yeah. Tell me about these flower. So I'm on your Instagram, which I highly encourage folks to go look at that, because you guys do a fabulous job there with education and just some really cool photos. And I can see why you have 35,000 followers. You have these, they have pressed flowers, and then they have like a clear between them. Is that like a epoxy or?
Yeah, it's an epoxy resin. And so I've always, like I said, I'm always thinking of what can I do next. If I just do one thing, I mean, I like to be good at, if I'm going to do it, I want to be the best at it. That's just the way I've been raised. That's the way I am. And I said, okay, we need another avenue of revenue. We have so many flowers. We're very good at drying flowers. I mean, I'm not to toot my own horn, but I have worked on this for years. I have a drying room. I've dried for years, and I was like, we need to be able to press. My dad I have his press from like the 1960s, he graduated from Purdue. I mean, literally I have some of the dryers in it. They have handwritten from like samples that he did as the air quality.
Oh, wow.
Like I have, and it's better than anyone that I've purchased either. I was trying to find a way. I had some people asking me to preserve their wedding bouquets. So I said, okay, let's figure out how to do this. It's one of the hardest things out of all the things we've ever done. This is the hardest thing that I've done, is because you have to take a lot of precautions while you're pouring the resin. Number one, I see it yesterday. I had to run to Hobby Lobby, and I see it there. I'm like, do people know this is, you need to, it's a chemical when you're pouring it. So, you need to wear personal protection equipment, and it just reacts differently. Like we had a problem when we first started pouring and learning how to do it. Our humidity went up. Well, then we were getting like, I'd say kind of a frosting in it. So we had to get another dehumidifier. Temperature changes a lot, but it's the resin we use is just beautiful. I tried a million kinds, and I tried to get one that I felt like worked best for our climate too. And I know that sounds crazy, but it has a lot to do with your climate. It takes a long time, as far as you have to pour multiple layers. You have to, when you pour a piece, you've got to wait for at least an hour to make sure you're getting the air bubbles, because flowers hold the bubbles. And, that goes into my OCD, not wanting anything that doesn't have a bubble. And it is very hard. So, but it's a great way to, like, I've done funerals. We're meeting somebody Saturday. They're bringing their wedding flowers, and we press a lot of our flowers. I mean, we press a huge percentage. Tell me how many thousands we have that we've pressed. And it's just a great, unique gift to have as a charcuterie, or we do like little display pieces, coasters, ornaments. I think it was really sweet. The first funeral we did, the mom had battled breast cancer for years and passed away, and the grandkids selected all their favorite flowers from the funeral and brought them to me. And we pressed them, and then we made each child, it looks like a coaster, but we did an ornament for them. And then we did the sister wanted a platter, the mom, the daughter. So it was really special. So it's a great way to, I'm very nervous when someone brings me their flowers because I know how our flowers react because we've pressed them. And if our flower doesn't do what we want, guess what? We just go cut another one. But if you're bringing me the flowers from your funeral, I know we poured that when we were all like, okay, we're feeling very nervous today because this is a lot of sentimental value to it. So, but it was another way, and I like doing things that are artistic. And I tried anything that I bring to market. I tried to see, is it untapped? And is this something I think people will be drawn to? So that's really how I kind of got in that. And it's just, I feel like we do the drying well, what's a way that we can bring that product to people. And it's beautiful because it's everlasting too. I mean, of course it's not going to last 30 years, but if you don't put it in direct sunlight and you take care of it, it's going to last a really long time. And it's just so unique and beautiful. So that's been extremely popular. We really went live with that. I think, we've been working with it a very long time, and we went live with it maybe in June, I think, or so. And so basically we're working off pre-orders right now. So because it does take so long to produce one piece, I mean, it's probably just the pouring is about 11 days by the time we cure the layers. Yeah, it's pretty, and then
how many layers are there?
Depends on the mold, how thick it is. But it's like for us, and then once it's done, the edges need to be softened, then we need to polish it. So you know what I'm saying? It's just like there's a lot of steps to it. I probably honestly don't charge enough. We were talking about that last week, but I just love doing it so much. And the resin's epoxy resin's very expensive. It's like almost $100 a gallon.
So I'm on your website here, and you've got resin art by 1818 Farms. That's the product that I'm looking at. Yeah. So you got it listed. Like some of them are like 130. You've got some 135.
And then it goes down to a coaster is like $24, or a set is like $4 for something, because we want people to be able to buy it. And then this isn't on our site, but we'll have this at our showcase next week. We're doing pressed flower jewelry. And so I found a company in the United States who makes their own findings, because I'm very particular. And so we're doing, our collection is in the indigo collection. And I think there might be a picture maybe in the story from a day or two ago on Instagram about the showcase. I think it's a picture of the indigo ring. I mean, you say indigo, people think, oh, blue, but it makes a beautiful pink flower, and it's pressed in this ring. You see a picture of a bunch of girls standing there and all the products at the front, and then it's like a story, I think.
Yeah, but I'm looking at a story now, so we'll see what it shows up.
But that's something new, because I'm trying to find a price point where I don't have to use so much resin. That's what's the issue is the resin is not that my time's not valuable, but if the gallon of resin is $100, which, some of those trays, of course, don't take a gallon. But when we have a beautiful like tray, like a kitchen, like a little stand tray thing, and that takes over a gallon of resin. Like there's a picture of that with the zinnias. So that's going to have to be, almost a $300 piece, because it takes over.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it takes a lot of time with so many pours. But it's really good. And I think that now that's one thing I've had a lot of people say, can you teach me that? And I'm like, I cannot, because it takes so many days, and there's so much, you wear the safety equipment and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But we do and that was a way to tie in. We're going to be launching our new scarf line. I've been studying eco printing. I started studying eco printing during the pandemic and natural dyeing. That was what I did. What other people did think? Well, I was working too, because we never, shut down. But when I when I couldn't go anywhere, I was like, I'm going to learn to be a natural dyer. So I've really gotten into eco printing, and so that's like magic. Or actually, my employees say, "Are we doing voodoo today?" Because you never know what you're getting. Like you do it, and you can lay 3 scars out, the leaves from the same tree, and you do it, and it looks nothing alike. So. But that's science, you're dealing with science and nature. But that'll be launched this week too at the showcase. So, but that's and those are all different customers. I think I try to bring out products that are going to reach a different type of customer. Like the scarf's not everybody, but the resin's not everybody. And then we're doing the pressed, like just floral wall art too. Like that's what we were working on today. So but so we do a lot of things. Like tomorrow we're just going to be tying these scarf tags on all day. That's what we're going to do the whole day, because I haven't done one tag yet. So
Joining me is Sash from Harvest Hosts, where they connect over 225,000 self-contained RVers to small businesses such as farms just like yours. Sash, talk to me about how easy it is to become a Harvest Host host.
Yeah, so it's very easy. We don't require a whole lot for our farms or any of our hosts. So all you need as a farm is a place to park an RVer, just one RVer for one night. So that can be out in your fields, it can be a gravel lot, it can be a paved parking lot, whatever space you have available. Then we also ask that you have something to sell. So this could be products from your farm, it can be a tour or some type of experience. Anything that you have to sell, that's where our members are going to be able to give back, and you'll see revenue coming in from our members that way. And the last thing that we need is a basic internet connection. So our platform is all run through an app and online through a web browser, just like Airbnb, where you can go in and see a calendar, see a profile. Our hosts all have that within our platform. So you'll be able to go online, check who's staying the night, check your calendar availability, and update your host profile.
Very cool. And what's the sign-up process if they want to get started?
Yeah, it's very simple as well. So we have an account executive team here who would be happy to walk you through an application. It's only about a 5 to 10 minute process where you just give us some simple information like where you're located, your hours of operation, and a little bit more about your business. And then after the application is submitted, one of our host onboarding team members will reach out and make sure that your profile is all set up and that you're ready to go, because you'll go live right after that and start hosting RVers from there on out.
Very cool. Tell us a little bit about a few of the types of farms you have working with Harvest Hosts.
Yeah, so we've got all kinds of farms on the platform. We work with over 1,400 different small farms across the US and Canada. Some of them include lavender farms or different orchards, alpaca farms. So all these farms, they differ in what they offer for our members to park. You can have just your field. Sometimes people will put in a concrete pad, or they'll have extra space in their parking lot. Whatever it is, we don't ask you to go install anything or do anything, but just a place to park the RV, or as simple as your field is great.
Awesome. Harvest Hosts connects over 225,000 self-contained RVers to a network of thousands of small businesses. Hosts simply offer RVers a one-night stay on their property, and in return, RVers patronize the business while spending the night. Visit www.harvesthosts.com/hosts to learn more and become a host. But to do this, you have to have a team and a massive energy behind you. So talk to me about how you found those awesome people that can take what you do and just run with it.
Let me tell you, I get on my knees every day and thank God for my team, because, and of course I got people who don't work out. I'm not going to say you don't, but I have the best team ever who would do anything for me, We have full-time, we have part-time, we have, some people might be only, 6 hours, but they've been with us forever. And I just think they love what they do. It's finding people who, like I said with my kids, you got to find people who love what they do, and they're going to be happy and they are excited. Like they're so excited. Today they're like, are you coming to the office? Because the office is in Huntsville and we're going to sew the tags. I said, no, we're going to do Thursday because we had other things here. They have, anyone with what we do is so fast paced, even at the office, when you're shipping out so many packages, for the farm is the hard, well, both are hard. I shouldn't say that. For the farm, I always bring people out and I have a working interview with them, because I tell them from the beginning, this is not what you see on Instagram. I mean, I try to say what you see on Instagram. I mean, it's beautiful, but you don't see me look like I have not had a shower for 3 days because I've been out there working in the 100-degree heat. You know what I'm saying? We're not in air conditioning. We're out all day, 10 or 12 hours a day. I mean, so, and it's not for everybody. And I tell them, it's not going to hurt my feelings, but you need to know it's hot, it's sweaty, there are bugs, and this is hard work, but you have to love it. And I've been fortunate that the people I have with me have, been with me for quite a while and are so dependable, and they happen to love it too. But you got to find the right person, because it has to be a match. I know it has to be a match in every job, but it's really got to be a match in a farm. It has to. I mean,
So, all right. So you do the working interview. Do you just put out there how do you get the candidates in? Do you just post online that you're hiring? Do you use specific sites?
Yeah, post online. Usually I do like a Facebook story, or this last year I sent an email just to all of our email lists that, hey, we're going to be hiring. Do you know anybody who's interested? Because, now some people are off social media. So, and, we try and pay a lot of times more than we probably can afford, but, it's hard work what we do. I tell people it is not easy. This is not, sitting in the air condition. And even at the office, we try to reward if we have very good seasons, we're going to give really good bonuses because they've worked hard to get us where we are. Everybody knows us work hard, but we're going to treat our employees really well. And we're flexible too. I mean, I'm very flexible. If they need, kids sick, or if they need, I'm a mom too. I know how that works. If they need to go to a program, they need a doctor's appointment. I'm like, all you need to do is get your job done. You know what I'm saying? I'm not the person that says, we may be here 13 hours today, or guess what? We may be done in 8. They just know, I just want us to get what we have to have done. And I'm not going to ask anything that's within, I try and ask myself, okay, is this an imminent need? Is this going to really matter tomorrow that we didn't finish it today? And some days, like this week, when we were trying to get the cover crop in and the rain was coming, guess what? It had to be done because we haven't had rain in forever. So I try to ask myself, and they know that I'm going to always be within reason. And I don't ever, when I go to the office at Christmas, I could sit in the office and check email all day, but I'm in shipping because I think that you need to be doing those jobs because then it keeps your mind on. You need, as the owner of the company, you need to be doing everything that every other person is doing. If it's putting a label on or a tag, or I try and float myself around because sometimes I think you tend to forget. Sometimes the little jobs aren't that easy. I mean, I try and really float around. I know last year, our girl who makes most of the botanical wax sachets, she's like, I gotta have help. So here I was sitting there, putting a grommet on and tying a sheep's yarn through it. And, I was doing that. So I'm going to do at holiday, especially whatever we need, if I need to make a box,
Yeah.
But I think that also keeps you aware of what's happening in the business. I think in any business, to be a leader, you need to be, you can't just say, oh, I'm a leader, I'm flying, in the airplane, the helicopter, and still not get down in the trenches and day to day know what's happening. I don't think you're going to be successful.
Share a little bit about your flower truck, because I know that's something that's on your Instagram and you've spoken about before. Kind of what came with the idea of that?
Well, that really came with a lot of people were wanting flowers, and pandemic really hurt the flower truck because most places we were lower employees, busier at the corporate office than we'd ever been, just like because people were shopping from home. And so now we're doing it mainly for special events, for pop-ups, but it's really a great way that you can get in the community, and people love coming to make their picture at the truck, build their bouquets. And so what we typically do for us, like I had an email today, and maybe it was like the UAH in Huntsville, they are having something in February. So a lot of times it might be for a special event like that, or what we try to do is local stores who carry our products, the Bath and Body line, we try to partner with them to really create a synergy to get people into their store. So we can say, okay, hey, we have ranunculus bundles. We're going to be at Shop Sweet Pineapple in Huntsville. You can pre-order and pick it up, or you can just, come and we'll go there. So we try to really work with those accounts who, are key accounts in the area. And that works out great. I found, it can be hard on the flowers in the summer. And so we've found more now when we used to run it all the time, like 4 or 5 times a week. But now we found we just are doing more pop-ups to know, and we try and limit those summer hours because it is so very hard on the flowers here. And then but what happened is the way, we were running the flower trucks, we weren't doing subscriptions. So in pandemic, we had to switch to contactless delivery because we had all these flowers. We had the most beautiful flowers, spring flowers. I know I was saying this year, our summer were that spring, amazing. I had an event for 500 bouquets like that 3 or 4 days when they shut everything down. Wow. So I was like panicking. I'm like, our cooler was full. We had invested in all these different anemones, ranunculus. We had all the tulips where you kept them on the bulb. They were dry stored. And so we just sent an email out and we delivered flowers for a day. We got rid of every stem that we had. And I was like, okay, I think maybe that's how we pivoted into subscriptions. And so now that is another thing. It's really hard for us to run the flower shop when we're sending out so many pre-made bouquets. And then also going back to where a week in a flower truck, I could make $2,000. I could make $200. But if I have those subscriptions, I already have the money in, the money that I need to pay for everything. I have those in November, December. So it just, as much as I love the flower truck, it's a smarter way for me to do business as pop-ups or rentals.
Gotcha. Yeah. And obviously the subscription where you know exactly what you're selling every week is way better for your business overall.
Oh yeah. And we know exactly, and every year we add more subscriptions, we cut off and then we'll be like, there'll be 2 or 3 out. We can't do it. And then we add more. So every year we've added more, and you just know, we can knock out those it takes us about a week to do the full areas, but we have them routed so well. And of course, we deliver them. So some people, where we are, if we want a successful subscription business, and this is where you have to really react to what's going to work for your business. People say, oh, you have to pay gas and a driver. I'm like, well, do I want to sell subscriptions or do I not want to sell subscriptions? Because we're not going to sell this many subscriptions a season and everybody have to drive to Mooresville to get them. That's just, people are busy. I wouldn't want to do that. So we just try to strategically route where those deliveries are going to be within the zip code. And, we have it routed. We text them the day before. If they're out of town, we'll bump them and do a different day because we're always in and out, around. It's not like we're going to say you can't have your subscription. And people love the subscriptions, love them because we've arranged them. They're in a glass vase, they can give us the vase back. So, they're nice, really nice bouquets. So we love the subscriptions. So that's the one good thing that came out of pandemic was subscriptions.
What would you say for someone who's starting to think about, let's say, doing something a little more value added and just growing like flowers or just, raising sheep? What would you say to them who's trying to get started in this?
Don't be scared. Research, see what's happening in your area. I would always start, think about timing. If you're a sheep and you're starting a way to bring people to see something they've never seen before. Not a lot of people have walked through a flower field. Not a lot of people have seen a sheep be shorn. Offer something that gets people out there. And when you provide a great experience, it's word of mouth. That's how I really feel like the beginning for us was word of mouth. And of course we did the farmers markets. That's how it started. Then we did field trips. For years, we did like 5 field trips. We did Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday field trips, and then maybe one day on the weekend. We didn't do Wednesdays, but you have to start small and get people out if you're going to start. And you have to be the cheerleader of your business, and people want to see your face. Like I have to, of course, make myself get ready to take a picture because I don't want to look, I do want to look a little bit decent for there, but people want to see the face of the business because I think they connect more with that. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there. I know it's scary. And also, I think here's the biggest thing I hear from people. They'll say, oh, I've been doing this or I'm going to do it and I'm just not being successful. I'm like, listen, my success didn't happen in 1 year. This is 10 years of working hard. And you can't expect immediate results. And I think that's one of the hardest things for people. When we started subscription years ago, I had 2 subscriptions. 2. You know what I'm saying? It takes, and of course, a lot of those 2, guess what? I still have those. You cannot expect, and I think that's the kind of the way our society is now, is people expect immediate results and immediate success. You have to, keep your eye on the prize is what I always tell my kids, and keep, having goals and trying to find ways to achieve them. But, don't be disappointed just because, you don't sell out. I remember our first farm to table dinner, we didn't even sell it out. 8, 9 years ago. And then they would sell out in like 24 hours, every dinner we did. So but that doesn't happen in year 1. It's just not going to. It's the word of mouth of you providing a great experience is what's going to get your customers there. And you have to have a website, and you have to have social media, and you have to have an email list. Look at me, all the things you have to have. All the people say, I do not want to do social media. Well, you got to do it. I'm sorry. This world, you've got to do it. I'm on the fence. I'm like, oh, do I want to do TikTok? My husband's doing the TikTok because I do everything else. I'm like, I can't do one more thing, but I'm seeing I've got to do TikTok. I just need to
Yeah.
Get focused. And guess what? We did launch a YouTube channel during the pandemic. That was another thing. And we just put a new video up a couple of weeks ago on the loofahs, because I grew loofahs this year for the first time and loved it. And
Yeah.
I've been really bad about, someone messaged me on YouTube, "Are you okay? Because we haven't seen a video from you in months." I said, "No, I have just been busy." I was like, because it takes a long time. As you know, as a podcast, these just don't jump in magically, and you have to edit it. There's a lot of work, the research before, there's a lot that goes into it. So the YouTube, to make a video that is what I feel like people need to see, I just don't want to put a video out to put a video. So I need to do, I'm going to do, that's one of my goals, is to do better, with that. Because everyone was so excited when I did the loofah video. So, but yeah, I don't know. You just have to really offer those great experiences for people and know you're going to get there. You just can't give up. And like I said, you got to have those things I told you.
How do you focus on building your email list?
When we started at Farmers Market, we said people write them down, which isn't the greatest, because a lot of people, you can't read the writing, or they don't know that they put the wrong email down, but it is based through our purchases on Shopify.
Okay.
You can opt in, or like about every 6 months, I'll put a post, "Hey, if you want to know about the happenings, sign up for the email list." Like, want to know, be the first to know. Because what we do is we send an email to our email list. We wait 7 days, and any event, then we announce it to the public, because we call it we call it our priority contact. It's basically, I would say, doing our priority contact, because if they're willing to trust me to give their email, they should have the first. I feel like they should have the first choice of coming to a workshop or event, or knowing about the sale. I mean, I'm not going to not tell people about the sale, but you know what I'm saying? They're trusting me not to abuse that. I'm going to let them do that. So a lot of people come on, like, they'll say, how am I going to know? And I'll be like, "Oh, just go sign up on the email." Then I have to, then I have to look and be like, "How do they do that again?" I got to look on my phone. Where do they go? I think you just scroll to the bottom. And, but yeah, the email, I mean, I would say if you're doing a farmer's market, start that way, but you typically should have an opt-in option. They can opt out too if they want to receive emails or promotions from us. So, but yeah, that definitely, even if you have to take it down in a notebook, you've got to have the emails.
Yeah. We tried to do like a QR code at our shop, and we found that no one would do that, but they all wanted to put their information on a piece of paper. So we're trying to read that, but what we did end up doing is adding a phone number, and then we would either text them to confirm that the email is correct, or we take the email to best of our ability, run it through a spam checker, and it will actually give us a call back and say if it actually is a real email. So if we're like not sure on one letter or two letters, we just like, "Oh, let's try it this way." But when you just have one person that adds those, and it's a pain, but again, that email list is gold.
So you believe in the email list too, then?
Oh gosh, yes. I mean, for our online business, we have over 100,000 contacts between everything. For our farm, we're way lower than that. We're only at a couple thousand, but we try to build it every time we can. So
yeah, it really is, because like I said, we could all wake up tomorrow and all the social media could be gone. I mean, I don't think it's going to, but that's what I try to tell people.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, you can just be kicked off.
Oh, exactly. And I said, you can at least have their email. I mean, hopefully if something happened on social media and they really wanted to know, they'd go to our website and they'd be like, "Where are you?" When people are worried on YouTube that something's wrong with me, because I haven't put a video out, but I do think that you've got to invest in the email list for sure.
Absolutely. Well, we really appreciate you coming on and sharing. There's been a wealth of information that's fascinating, all the things that you keep busy with. Do you drink coffee or not? It sounds like you're always on coffee, but
yeah. Well, okay. Here's what's funny is I usually have 1 cup of coffee in the morning, and then yesterday we had tea at lunch, which I never have. We drink water. I drink like 80 ounces of water a day, and then I don't know if you have a restaurant called Chick-fil-A. Do you have a Chick-fil-A?
We know what they are.
Okay. Well, the girl who works with me said, "You've got to try this frosted coffee." My husband told me about it, and I said, "Are you kidding me?" I said, "Okay, let's do it." Of course, we both drank it. 12:30 last night. I could have just.
Oh no.
Everything. Oh yeah, I told her. I said I was up at 6 o'clock this morning, and I'm still rested. And she was laughing today at me. I said, "I am never going to let you tell me to get one of those frosted coffees." I said it was delicious, but I said I needed that yesterday at 7 a.m., not at 3 p.m.
Yes. Yeah. No, I drink 1 cup of coffee a day and then just a bunch of cups of water. But yeah, no, just you have boundless energy and just all the things that you keep up with. I'm just like, whew, makes me tired.
Well, one night I asked my husband at dinner, I said, hey, Cindy is the lady who we work mainly at the farm. I said, guess what Cindy and I did today at the farm? And he goes, I do not even know what to guess. He goes, I have no idea what happened. I said, well, okay, I'll tell you what we did because it was something different. But yeah, we both are, and everyone who works with us, has a lot of energy. But I think everybody's just excited about what they do and they're happy. I think that's the end of the day. You're gonna be like that if you're happy with your job. So hopefully all the listeners can find something you love to do.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. Appreciate your time and can't wait to share this with our audience.
Okay, I'm excited too. Thank you, Michael, for having me.
Absolutely. This episode is sponsored by Rimmel Greenhouse Systems, makers of quality greenhouse structures. Whether you're just getting started or buying your 10th tunnel, Rimmel has a structure to fit your needs. I've purchased and grown in Rimmel houses and would recommend them to everyone. So there you have it, another episode in the books. So I'd love if you would hop on over to iTunes and leave us a rating and a review. Those mean everything to us. We love to hear what you're thinking. If you have a podcast guest that you can recommend, please pop on over to the Thriving Farmer Podcast website and leave us a review. That's thrivingfarmerpodcast.com.